Hello, Netanyahu.
When Secretary Blinken was recently here in Israel, we had a candid conversation. I said I deeply appreciated the support the U.S. has given Israel from the beginning of the war. But I also said something else. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies. Secretary Blinken assured me that the administration is working day and night to remove these bottlenecks. I certainly hope that's the case. It should be the case. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, "Give us the tools, we'll do the job." And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job a lot faster. When Secretary Blinken was...
What is the date for him speaking to Congress again? July 24th. God damn it, I'm going to be in New York for that too, at least until the midday. Closest ally, they love doing that shit. Man, we're missing out on content doing canvassing. Breaking White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. We genuinely don't know what he's talking about. There is one shipment that is paused. Everything else is moving. It's still great that, like, after everything that has happened, after the Biden administration drawing 50 red lines, 50 red lines getting crossed, Netanyahu is still like, you know, America, they're not helping us enough. And Biden is like, oh, well, what do you mean? We're doing the best we can. It's like, just, dude's waffling. He's like tripping over himself to pretend... Do you literally not have a laptop to do travel streams? I'm gonna be busy. You think I'm on vacation? Speaking of red lines, the IDF have said the plan for an offensive into Lebanon has been approved. No way. The commanding officer of the Northern Command, MG Ori Gordon, and the head of Operations Directorate, MG Oded Basiuk, approved operational plans and held a joint situational assessment in the Northern Command earlier today. As part of the situational assessment, operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon were approved and validated, and decisions were taken in the continuation to increase the ransom truth. Israeli military says Hezbollah bringing us to the brink of escalations. Israelis live with the risk of Hezbollah war. Yeah, here we go. Top Israeli generals approve Lebanon offensive battle plans, army says. Cool, 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 cool. This country just exists in perpetual conflict. Yeah, they love that shit, man. Fascists live for perpetual war. They love that. That's their main thing. They love forever war. What is a fascist without war? You're basically seeing with Netanyahu what Trump wished he could have done. America has an isolationist bent right now. We don't want to get involved in boots on the ground warfare. If we could, that war would propagate the necessary conditions for a perpetuation. Sorry. Rubin is a Hezbollah insurgent and had strong opinions. I wanted to keep him out of the room. I closed the door. What is their endgame, honestly? There is no endgame for fascists. If the Nazis had won, completely won, and eradicated all non-white people from the face of the earth, the next thing they would have done was gone after redheads. Then brown-eyed people, you know, then people with black hair. There is no endgame. The end game of fascism is self-destruction. Like, that is the only point that it burns itself out in the process, or it self-destructs entirely. There's no, like, final state that you reach. Wasn't Trump also isolationist? Trump wasn't authentically isolationist. He wasn't genuinely ideologically isolationist. But even the American right wing does not have any interest at the moment in the expending the resources necessary to maintain a forever war. For the American right, the forever war is immigration. That's their forever war. They even use military terms when talking about it. An invasion, we're being invaded, we're being attacked, we're being overwhelmed, our country's being overrun. They use military terms with it because they want to reframe it in that dynamic. Forever invasion, a forever war. They would love it with China if it was possible. China's another nuclear nation, so it's not really possible, but it's a version of it, Oreganophobia. But yeah, I guess Israel's agreed on a plan to engage in action in Lebanon. I mean, we'll see. It's like the rocket barrage from Iran, in the sense that it's largely symbolic, sure. Is it morally correct to support less bad terrorists attacking more bad terrorists in this case? Dude, Hezbollah is really bad, and they don't want this conflict because it puts them at risk with conflict, like with the civil war. I am going to say this, however. Israel's behavior is making a pretty decent case for self-defense from Hezbollah's perspective, right? Like, Israel is obviously the saber rattler right now. Incredibly aggressive, rapid outward military expansion. Like, Hezbollah would be insane to not be at the very least preparing for like a full-scale conflict. Obviously Hezbollah is shitty. Like, Hezbollah's pretty bad. So I'm not arguing like that they're of the moral. I would say that in the grand, like, weigh your heart against a feather moral compass, the median Hezbollah fighter is probably closer to the Houthis than they are to Hamas, in the sense that it's more likely that the Houthis and the Hezbollah fighters are kind of ginned up on the knowledge that they effectively run the countries that they're in by virtue of being the largest and most powerful military group there. Whereas Hamas, for all their failings, were operating from a kind of like undertrodden, like you're downtrodden underdog, resistance movement kind of perspective, even if they were also Islamists. But yeah, Hezbollah's not good. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, anything like Iran aligned or Assad aligned, right? Okay, Comrade Robin Hood? The situation is, well, yeah, And the IDF would win in a fight versus Hezbollah. It would just be a ruinous conflict. And honestly, dude, if you looked at it objectively, right? Like, Israel has more of an edge over Hezbollah than Russia did over Ukraine by like a massive margin, modern equipment, larger forces, so on and so forth. But like, I'm not gonna lie, the IDF has been so fractured and incompetent in their managing of Hamas, even with the few detachments they've sent into the Gaza Strip. It genuinely makes me wonder if like there wouldn't be some massive communications, like top level breakdown in engagement, and it would lead to Hezbollah like doing way more damage than they expected. I mean, a lot of them are many of the members of the IDF are young, relatively untrained. I don't really know what the median level of combat readiness a Hezbollah fighter has. At what point does the U.S. even stop this? Well, if Israel did invade Lebanon, we would probably push we'd push the Lebanese government to fight from the north. We'd fire from our carrier group, I imagine. That might be true, Benjamin, yeah. Think of how rattled the IDF has gotten, how rattled the Israeli population has gotten just from fighting Hamas. Hamas is nothing, man. How do you think they'd react fighting Hezbollah for real? They haven't had a conflict like that in decades. And even then, the scale of this one now would be greater than the last time they fought with Hezbollah. Like, I feel, yeah, I don't know. What is even prompting Israel to do this? What's the justification? This is how fascists are in a kind of raw state. People like Ben Gvir, motivated almost entirely by Hitler-esque ethnocentrism. People like Netanyahu, motivated both by that and by a desire to save his own skin by staying in power, which he can only do by manufacturing a constant crisis. As soon as peacetime prevails, Netanyahu is out. Out. He's done. Might face prosecution. Maybe something worse. Is Hamas even as much of a threat as the South was? Remember, this is really a civil war. You mean the American South? I don't really think that's comparable. I love how the U.S. is urging Israel to not invade Lebanon. Meanwhile, in this article, the Israeli foreign minister is saying in an all-out war, Hezbollah will be destroyed and Lebanon will be severely hit. Yep, pretty typical fascist framing of the situation. America has leverage on the Lebanese government. Yeah, well, of course. Well, the Lebanese government has been at odds with Hezbollah for decades. That's true, Benjamin. It's actually all justified morally. Is there a Lebanese government? Yeah, but they're not very powerful. Beirut is under the control of the Lebanese government, but basically, think of it kind of like the Taliban in Afghanistan, right? When we had guys propping up the ANA there, like Kabul is controlled by the ANA. Ostensibly, like, the big cities are theoretically controlled by the government, but in reality, the real power center is the Taliban, and the moment we left, the Taliban retook everything, It's kind of like that. Hezbollah could have invaded and took over Beirut and destroyed the Lebanese government by now if they wanted to, but it would be bad for them to, because it would cause so much regional instability and would probably bring down a bunch of governments on their head. So in lieu of that, you have Hezbollah just kind of sitting down there in the bottom, and the government, managing their affairs outside of that territory. And yes, Hezbollah is powerful and popular, and for that reason, some of their members have been elected to the official Lebanese government. But again, the Lebanese government doesn't officially recognize Hezbollah as the military of Lebanon, because then it wouldn't be like a non-state army. It would just be a state army. But Hezbollah is not officially against the government. They claim to be a political party with a military wing. I'm trying to find a comparison. I feel like I've described this phenomena. It's an odd situation, but you get me here, right? You get what I'm talking about. Lebanon is unstable. Hezbollah understands that there would be greater instability if it just full-on conquered the country. The Lebanese government also understands this and probably doesn't have the power to oust Hezbollah anyway, so they're kind of in a mutually, not really a stalemate, but they're kind of, would the Lebanese government reject Israeli intervention? Now that's the question, right? My personal opinion, my PO, right? The Lebanese government doesn't like Israel, but we have leverage on the Lebanese government, and the Lebanese government does have pre-existing obligations against Hezbollah in that context. I think that if Israel invaded from the south, there would be pressure to instigate a civil war where the Lebanese government would essentially attack Hezbollah from the north while Israel would attack them from the south. The problem with that, of course, is that Hezbollah isn't super unpopular with the Lebanese people, and I have a feeling that many members of the Lebanese military would not be super happy with it, Kind of like that orangutan kiwi, but less openly antagonistic between the cartels and the government, yeah. That's BS. Hezbollah will be incredibly popular once Israel starts bombing cities. Well, with the people, not necessarily with the Lebanese government, but there are also a lot of fractured religious and ethnic minorities in Lebanon that might be vulnerable to playing, the other side. Lebanon still doesn't have a president, by the way. Oh yeah, did you guys know? Lebanon hasn't had a president for years. The last president, he basically was he ran and he was like, listen, I've got this shit. It's going to be easy. No big problem. I'm going to knock this shit out of the park. Lebanon? Come on. What is this, a joke? And then he became president, and then he was like... And now they have no president. That, as I remember it, that's more or less what happened, and it's been like that for a while. How would they get a new president? Well, the problem is that they would have to find somebody who wants to be president, and also the people want him to be president. And look at this, man. Look at this. The 2022 to 2024 Lebanese presidential election. The ongoing indirect election to elect the president of Lebanon following the expiration of Michel Aoun's, I probably mispronounced that, mandate on the 31st of October 2022. The outgoing president has served since the 31st of October 2016, following the end of the 2-year presidential crisis. And this is its own goddamn thing where they couldn't find a guy. They had to go back and find another guy because the other guy wouldn't do the thing. I don't know. My memory on this is kind of cooked, okay? Lebanon has a big problem with political figures and journalists being assassinated. Oh yeah, being the president of Lebanon gives you a pretty high, death rate. Look at all the sessions that have been held to try to elect a new one. First session, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Standoff. 12th, which was held on the 14th of June, 2023. One of them got kidnapped by Saudis a couple years ago. Yeah. The presidential crisis. It's a whole thing. Who's the strongest Hezbollahian? Good question. Don't remember. I don't actually know who its lead is. Let's take a second to learn a little bit more about the little state within a state that Israel's probably going to war with in a second. The Party of God, the Islamic resistance in Lebanon. Its armed strength is assessed to be equivalent to that of a medium-sized army. Established by Lebanese clerics to fight the 82 Israeli invasion of Lebanon. So from the beginning, these guys, literally built to fight the IDF. The whole organization exists in response to an Israeli invasion. The org was created with the support of 1,500 IRGC instructors. Thank you, Iran. Organization to resist the former Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. Their logo is too busy. Yes, I agree. Let's see. Hezbollah also participated in the 85 to 2000 South Lebanon conflict against the South Lebanon Army and the IDF. See, again, it wouldn't be the first time the Lebanese army and the IDF had, like, taken a shot at Hezbollah. Fought with them again in the 2006 Lebanon War. What was the total death count from this? The IDF lost 121 people, and they lost 44 civilians. Hezbollah fighters lost 250 soldiers and, wow, 1,200 civilians. Cool. Just to let you guys know, if there was a conflict right now between the IDF and Hezbollah, like, the death total would be orders of magnitude greater than this. Oh, gotcha, Philomath20. The South Lebanon Army is not the official army. It is a Christian militia. Gotcha. Thank you, thank you. A proxy of Israel, not an actual part of the Lebanese army. Gotcha. This is why we do these on stream, folks. South Lebanon Army. Christian-dominated militia. Under the aegis of Israel. Okay, gotcha. We love our wacky shenanigans. A current conflict would be ruinous. Do you think Israel will 100% go to war with Hezbollah? I mean, they certainly seem to want to. Like, they voted on it. They said yes, it seems. America's telling them not to. They've approved of it, yeah. Hezbollah and its opposition allies gaining 11 of 30 cabinet seats, enough to give them veto power, draft policy that recognize Hezbollah's existence as an armed organization, and guarantees its right to liberate or recover occupied lands. They have some support in some Christian areas of Lebanon, which is crazy. Since 2012, Hezbollah involvement in the Syrian civil war has seen it join the Syrian government in its fight against the Syrian opposition. So these guys are Assadists, which Hezbollah has described as a Zionist plot and a Wahhabi Zionist conspiracy to destroy its alliance with Bashar al-Assad against Israel. Nice, nice. Between 2013 and 2015, the org deployed its militia in both Syria and Iraq to fight or train local militias to fight against ISIS. 12 seats in its alliance won the election, 70 out of 128 seats in the parliament of Lebanon. Nice. Hezbollah did not disarm after the Israeli withdrawal from South Lebanon in contravention of UN Security Council Resolution 1701. From 2006, the group's military strength grew significantly to the extent that its paramilitary wing became more powerful than the Lebanese army. Nice! Hezbollah has been described as a state within a state, and has grown into an organization with seats in the Lebanese government, a radio and satellite TV station, social services, and large-scale military deployment of fighters beyond Lebanon's borders. Basically, everybody thinks that they're terrorists, except for Syria, themselves, Iraq, and Russia. They're also one of the biggest drug trafficking orgs in the world. Maybe the Mexican cartel comparison was more apt than I originally realized. The Lebanese drug lord Ayman Juma was arrested in the U.S. following allegations he was smuggling cocaine, laundering money that benefited Hezbollah. As much as $200 million a month was laundered through his network. God damn. They're anti-Semitic, anti-LGBT, and pro-jihad. Really? The Islamist militia that was created to fight against Israel, called the Islamic Resistance in Lebanon, are anti-Semitic, anti-LGBT, and pro-jihad? Yes? Oh, all right. Well, just clarifying. I don't know about this one, guys. Hezbollah officials have said on rare occasions that it is only anti-Zionist and not anti-Semitic. I have heard that one before, my friend. Hezbollah actively engages in Holocaust denial and spreads anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. You ready for Israel to go to war with Hezbollah and for like the Groypers and the Israel critical Nazi types like Candace Owens to be like, who is Hezbollah? Did you know Hezbollah's existence was actually started by an illegal invasion by Israel? They call the Syrian resistance a Zionist plot. What do they mean by that? What do they know that we don't know? You know, shit like that. Conflicting reports say Al-Manar, the Hezbollah-owned and operated television station, accused either Israel or Jews of deliberately spreading HIV and other diseases to Arabs throughout the Middle East. Al-Manar was criticized in the West for airing anti-Semitic propaganda. Yeah. Okay, we know what they're like. We know what Hezbollah's like. We know. We've seen these types before. They've done bombings as far away as Argentina. Well, you know, they're active. They're not armchair activists. We can say that much. The Dubai-based Gulf Research Center estimated in 2006 that Hezbollah's armed wing comprised 1,000 full-time Hezbollah members, along with 6,000 to 10,000 volunteers. That was in 2006. In October 2023, Al Jazeera cited Hezbollah expert Nicholas Blanford as estimating Hezbollah had at least 60,000 fighters, including full-times and reservists, and that had increased its stockpile of missiles from 14,000 to about 150,000. It is often described as more militarily powerful than the Lebanese army. Israeli commander Guizur called Hezbollah by far the greatest guerrilla group in the world. And they have some pretty decent equipment. You guys looking forward to the Biden administration doing, like, some backpedaling if they do invade Lebanon, you know? Where they're like, yeah, I know we said that a red line would be a major military operation in Lebanon, but that's not a major military operation, you know? That's like a minor one. That's only one tank. Some shit like that.